I just want to thank everybody for hanging in, you know, talking, giving, speaking into the space. It's a lot of work. So again, I hope you find what fills you up inside and have those those good feelings inside. We're going to, I believe this is an opportunity to kind of circle back and fill the space with lingering thoughts. Or is that right? We're just going to circle back. We've got 15 minutes, which isn't a great deal, 20 actually. It isn't a great deal of time. So if you've got something that you don't want to take with you and you want to leave it here with us to consider, if you don't want to take up any of this space at all, that's fine too.
Can I have all 20 minutes?
No.
Cory.
Yeah.
Cory's going to offer a full day Zoom session for us, free of charge. And then a round of applause.
Yeah, Irwin. Yeah, if I can, do you mind if I start? Yeah, this is okay. Whose minutes can I buy here? You know, this is probably the most challenging part of this process. Sharing the appropriate amount of information. I've probably bitten my tongue more times than once today in the short time that we've had to spend with you. This is probably the most challenging part of any level of engagement. You know, appreciating the time that we do have with you. I wish that we had more sessions going forward. I'd happily participate. I'm available. I'm an independent contractor. I shouldn't be doing an elevator pitch here, but I'm going to. I have a broad spectrum of projects that I'm on. They vary in scale. I love what I do. I'm very fortunate to be doing what I'm doing. I do this 7 days a week. My days are 8, 10, 12, 14-hour days. But I love this. And what makes it so much easier is working with individuals like yourselves who are willing to have a conversation about a topic as heated or as complex as reconciliation, as complex as decolonization. I love this. So I just wanted to share those last few words with you. And I think Irwin has my contact information, so contact me anytime. Thank you.
Here we go. I feel like we've been on a completely amazing journey today of listening to people's thoughts and reflecting on experiences and, you know, saying some of the hard stuff that really has to be said. I have to say, I'm so relieved to never have to be the only one like saying those on one hand, but I'm annoyed that we all still have to keep pointing out a lot of things that we've had to point out today. And I feel like over the years that Irwin and I have been bringing this kind of conversation out, it's, you know, it's relevant because there are still things not being addressed. So having different people come to the table is really important, to hear other people's voices and to have you all reflect on the things that are quite unfortunately normal to us. And I say that in that way because it's distressing to me how many of these young Salish artists still have to really fight for their rights to be seen and heard, and to even have to defend themselves within their own communities for getting work, because really on the broader spectrum, like we're still barely being seen or heard. And you know, we're still looking outside a window like this and not seeing our culture reflected right back. And so, you know, I was talking earlier about my daughter and how I chose to send her to the canoe club to become part of her community in a way that she needed to. And I think part of what I was trying to say that I didn't say, but I'm going to say now, is that I sent her on those canoe journeys to teach her a discipline. You know, so my friends were like, "You're not disciplining your child." I'm like, "Yes, I am. I don't have to. She's learning a discipline." And it's something like, as artists, we have disciplines. So I really always have deconstructed this colonial language. So I thought about that word when my daughter was very young, and like, you know, because people would be like, "Oh, how are you going to discipline your kid?" I'm like, I was like, I hate that people are asking me, like, how am I going to penalize my child for things that she may not have done yet? Like, nobody's perfect, but I thought about how I wanted to influence her and how I want to influence young people. And I thought about that word discipline, and I thought about how art is a discipline. And, you know, we might not have a word for art in our language, but we all have words for training and for learning. A lot of it is about learning off the land and learning from natural elements around us. And that's, for me, that's what I really want. You know, that's what I gave my child. I still give her. She gives me that back. Like, that's a reciprocal relationship that we talk on the same level. And I was always told that when I had a child: don't look down at your child. Don't treat your child like you own them. Like, always talk to your child the way you would talk to any adult. And so then, thinking about discipline, I thought discipline is about respecting yourself and the process. You know, there's a lot more to it, but those are some basic elements that made me think about, you know, the work I do. And that is what I influence into younger generations is, you know, I make it fun for sure, and I make it interesting, and I want them to learn traditional things about the land, about the plants, about the root systems and everything. But I also want young people to feel accomplished, because what I didn't always feel as a young person, like, and that wasn't any of my family's fault. That was like society was really saying that Indigenous people didn't have what it takes to be disciplined. But I grew up watching artists all around me from different cultures, especially Indigenous cultures, and I could feel their relationship as a discipline, and that it was a respect. Like, when I've seen carvers carving, you know, they don't just take a tree and then create something, just bing. There's ceremony, and there's conversations, and then there's bringing other experts in that help them. And the story of that tree becomes a whole different tree. It becomes a story of many things. It could have been about the Great Flood. It could be about the current issues of the day. It doesn't really matter. But the thing that I feel that I've always just really wanted to have a part of, and not be the one in control, but in any project, I want to be part of that discipline, and I want to be part of that story of how it comes out, and how we together make that journey of, you know, in some people's cases, it's a pole, but for me, it's usually the land, and how do I transform it and bring the story of the land out for the next generations. So, you know, I think that those are some of the things that have been going through my mind today, listening to everybody and how they work and how they've had to journey through this colonial space and remain as decolonial as possible. It's, you know, we're asked as Indigenous people all the time to teach decolonialism to everybody. It's like, but we all have our own interpretation, and it, you know, could come from the same story. But we're all forced to live in this colonial state, in this colonial place and way, and the rules never end. They just never end, you know. An ironic thing is I have a what is considered a really important reconciliation handshake with the park board, and that is that I have a field house. So it's a studio, and you know, it's located in a place where my family was forced out like 100 or so years ago. And the first rule on there is, here's a residency, but you can't live in it. And that is pretty much the story of everything in the city. It's like, I get exhausted having to explain that to people, why I cannot live there, you know, but as I watch the housing go up in the city, as I watch families being forced to move places they've never even heard of so they can feed their kids, you know? So yeah, I think there's a long journey we have to go. So if the work that I do with young people is to help them to find their level of respect with the work they're learning, then that's a lot of work, but it's work that's really important to me. And it's just a tiny piece, a grain of sand in this big beach of decolonial talks we're having up here. So yeah, I had so much to extrapolate from this whole day, and I was like, where am I going to take this? I don't know, but I think important words have been said here today, and what really lifts me is the diversity of the voices. Like, I really love that Irwin and I just keep like getting out there and looking for people in our community that are going to come and share these important words, and that we can bring that to you with the work we're doing. You know, it's at the end of the day, if we can accomplish that, we're getting somewhere. So I'm going to pass it along down the line. Or you guys have your own? Yeah, okay. It'd be awkward passing this thing around.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of tired of sitting up here. No, I'm just really thankful. Like, just when I was coming in the door, it's just being reminded of like, how can, as a Coast Salish person, woman, Lene, how can I keep asserting my rights and my inherent rights to do the work that I do? I just come from Musqueam, come from the Charles family. We just don't like people telling us what to do sometimes. It's in my blood, right? It's in my bloodline to just stand up and to be that voice. And I'm always very careful. Like, I started out as an MC, and when I was rapping in our language, I go sit with my papa and my dad and different people from our community, and they say, oh, you can't say it that way. I'm like, why not? Because our language doesn't have a way to say it. It has a way of describing it and involving it and living it and breathing it. And then that's just what I'm going to do. Like, I'm just always going to live, breathe, and do this work. I helped work on the MMIWG 2S Plus report with the city and Rachel Watney, and when we were sitting at these meetings, it's so funny how the city like doesn't know about stuff sometimes. I'm like, you guys have a meeting every 5 minutes. Like, I know when somebody's going to the bathroom because, oh, I got a meeting in 10 minutes. Hold on, I'm going to this meeting, that meeting. So you guys have time. You just don't make the time to sit and listen. And I'm so thankful that everybody, you know, sat here and listened today. Because when we delivered that report, you know, there's a chain of command, and, you know, only the managers are allowed to sit here, and, you know, only these people are allowed to speak this way. And I'm like, no, you're erasing our voice. You know, you got us ladies to come out here into the communities and do our work. And now we're supposed to deliver it to you, but you're having like these people who aren't even from these lands deliver it to you. So we said, no, we're going to end. I was like, this is our home. And I had other people from Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh in our group. And there was about 10 or 12 of us women who were entering the chambers to deliver this report. And they said, no, we're all going to walk in. So we all walked in together, and we sang the Women's Warrior song. And I wasn't even supposed to speak. And my boss wasn't supposed to speak. Her boss was the one who was supposed to speak. And we said, no. So they passed it over to me, and I was able to open the floor and, you know, say that this is my inherent right to speak on this floor and to take this step, because this is our way, and this is always going to be our way. And you know, you're not going to erase our voice anymore. And that's how we work. And I'm always going to work that way. And like, I don't mean to keep talking about the work I've done recently, but it's also just like these conversations help me open up and realize like the work that I have been doing this past summer and the year before. I helped organize Meets at Huiwell, come towards the Fire Festival out at the Chan Center. And when we were planning it, again, welcome, closing, you know, a few speeches. I'm like, no, we need to have the MC needs to be from the land. If we're out at the Chan Center where it's distinctly Musqueam territory, you know, it's our old warrior village. I was like, we have to make it all Musqueam. And when I travel to other territories, you know, I make sure I acknowledge my families and we hire people from those territories. But just to give an example, like this is how we worked. We hired, the host was from Musqueam. The artists that we invited to sell their merchandise were from Musqueam. The set design, you know, you sat with Musqueam artists and weavers and graphic designers, and that was reflected in the design. Even the logo and the colors used for the whole festival was from a Musqueam artist based in Musqueam colors. And then also having the lineup, right? You know, they flew people in from all across the country and down the States. But I was like, you need to place in Musqueam artists. I was like, we have singers and drummers and dancers and MCs and, you know, different types of artists, storytellers. So they interwove it through the day. And those are ways that we can assert our inherent right to hold the space and to hold the teachings, and do it where it's not always involving, you know, different levels of government, right? Because we have the ability to work and walk in all these worlds. And that's what I'm so thankful for, that, you know, our ancestors gave us all these different gifts where we, you know, we can have that power. And if not, we can come together and use each other's voices like we did today and assert our rights in those ways. And I'm just so thankful. I was blessed with 4 little ones, and 3 of them are girls. And my daughters are always like, if we're stuck in traffic, she'll be like, hey, get off our land. We're trying to get to ceremony. And I'm like, yes, baby. Yes. I was like, we got to be a little bit nicer. So it's just, yeah, I'm just so thankful to live in this time where, you know, we are being a little bit told by the government that we can and can't do that. But you know what? I'm not going to jail. I'm not getting arrested. And my daughters and my son are very strong and powerful in the path they walk. So, heights up.
Sorry. That was an accident.
You know, we used to have figures and designs outside lining these shores, so that you would know what families were there, and who was caring for those lands and those waters at that time. And I heard a lot this word of erasure today. And I just want to remind you all, we here are a panel of pretty kick butt people. We're pretty strong and pretty strong in our spirits and can walk into these rooms and take our space, but not everyone can. Many of you have spaces and you hold your meetings, but your spaces aren't always welcoming. They don't always feel safe. And I think that that's just really important truth for you to carry. I don't have the answers for how to make that safe. That's for yourself. But I think the toolkit will be wonderful, but also knowing your own education, knowing, okay, who are the people in this lands right now? Who are singing the songs? What are the songs? Some of those questions up there about it. How do I know how to talk to Indigenous people? You really just need to carry the truth that has been a big disruption in our relationship to ourselves, to our 7 generations in front of us and behind us, and to most importantly, to our land. It's covered in cement and buildings and a whole slew of systems that we were never part of creating. And many of you are comfortable in those systems. So one thing that I can offer, because it felt really great, was I work with the city of Port Moody, and I have a huge project I'm doing out there, and I insisted that all of our meetings were outside. We had our meetings outside, and we would, when I'm talking about art, I would take them to the locations. So we had all of those people who wouldn't even normally, like, they work the parks board, they work for the land, and yet they didn't even know where I was talking about. So get outside, have your meetings outside. And also, I think you just need to carry the truth in your heart of the disruption. And I just raise my hands to all my sisters and brothers here. Like, you're all doing such great work, and I feel really honored to be on this panel with you. I love you all. Oh, see.
Thanks for those words. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today, and for all the people who chose to spend their time with us. I really appreciate that. And oftentimes I walk away from these events and I'm just rattled, like, because of whatever I've had to share. And like, I know there's like a certain level of vulnerability that comes with it, but I try not to be too vulnerable, because I need to be a whole person when I leave the room. Like, you hear those kids screaming in the other room, I got to be whole for them so they stop screaming and settle down, and we have a good rest of the day. And they did pretty good today, which I'm really thankful for. It's also nice to share space with my peers and not compete with you to put food on my table for a change. It's nice to just sit here and enjoy time with you, and we can actually like join forces. And see, that's my cue. All right.
I think that's all we have for our panelists, and we will surely thank you. I think we have some people right now to thank you.
And you, Carrie Lynn, for all your good work.
Love you, Carrie Lynn. Rachel.
And for being gentle on me also, for helping me learn about Coast Salish protocols and bringing that into the room today. And I appreciate your teachings. And hopefully people could witness that as well and slowly bring in Coast Salish protocols into your work. I want to thank Krista Voth. Where's Krista? Come on up, Krista. Krista from the Parks Board for helping us. Krista helped sponsor the room, and Krista just shows up. Krista is a bureaucrat who just shows up, takes risks on that. Thank you, Krista. Savannah, I want to thank Savannah Walling and the Vancouver Moving Theatre. We've been a program in their annual festival for several years, and Isabel is here. Thank you very much, Savannah and Terry. And if you want to come up. The family, the work family.
I have a feeling we would have had a really exciting day if you had the microphone. Beautiful. And thank you for the gift. Yeah, if I had a drum, I'd sing you a song. Excellent. Yeah. I don't have my drum. So we'll ask you if you can take your seats.
All right.
We're going to call back our witnesses as a final, as a way of wrapping it up today. Sandra, if you could come forward and share a few words with us, reflecting on the day, your thoughts. I think you can pick a mic. Yeah.
so much to take in and embody going forward. Almost feels like a call word for everything. Patience, slowing down, to Christie Lee's constant reminder, sit and listen, and respect the inherent rights of the right holders. I love that your daughter takes that to a practical level when it comes to traffic. And then, yeah, the Kamala Todd, I think it really just was like a bell singing out. She said the work is cleaning this place up for Indigenous rights holders. I think that's a good summary, because every one of us in our individual lives and in your organizational lives, that just feels like practical, cleaning up, tidy, set the timers, make it happen. And Tasha in particular making mention of, well, calling out that non-Indigenous people in positions of authority and in our regular everyday lives are comfortable with the systems. And I think today's work is a call to normalize discomfort, welcome disruption, and be patient with the process of transformation.
Wow, thank you for that. Active listening, beautiful. Just keeping things rolling. We're going to call, I believe, is it Andrew? Oh, we're thanking them. They're coming. They're coming. If you'd like to stand, it's important to have a handshake. Awesome. Andrew, is he? Oh, here he is.
I'm tall, so I'm gonna. It's gonna be awkward otherwise. Yes, my name is Andrew Lockhart. Thank you for asking me to be a witness. I'm an architect. I run a small practice in Vancouver called Atmospheric Perspective, although most of our work's actually not in Vancouver. So one of the things for me, I'm going to kind of speak a little bit from my phone, but also just from a perspective of an architect I'm witnessing today. So one of the things that I heard really clearly, I think, was that we all have influence within our own spheres to do things with local First Nations, and we all have a responsibility to activate those sort of influences, even if they're very small, depending on our sphere. So for me, I think what I learned really is, and a lot of the work that we do is actually on reserve, so it's pretty easy to work with First Nations because everybody on the project is First Nation. But I think in the case of projects where, you know, we're here, what can we do to involve and work with both creatively and in an economically beneficial way, local First Nations. And then I think another thing that I heard, the way that things look have power. And I think as we create things that look like something, that power is given to it by the people who make it. So I think it's really important that we involve the right people in that process. So there's power in the outcome, but the process itself is also equally important. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Family's going to thank you. I look out the window and I do see a couple of things. You know, the Four Fires canoe race annually is happening in Falls Creek, and the kids are thrilled to race their canoes in these super tight turns in Falls Creek, and to park their canoes down here. I know there's some safety issues, but really it's kind of exciting to be downtown Vancouver canoe racing. And if it were nighttime, on occasion you catch some of Deborah Sparrow's patterning happening on the outside of BC Place as well. So it just happens to be a moment when we're not seeing what we're looking for, but it's coming. It's there. It's happening. And that's exciting. I would like to call Jess. Carson. Jess, if you could come forward, take the mic, please.
Thank you. I'm Jess Carson. I work for the Park Board, and I've witnessed a lot of witnessing, but I've never been called as a witness. So this is really, I'm not comfortable, but I will do my duty. Yeah, thank you so much. I really learned a lot, had a lot of reminders. I work on the reconciliation team in the Park Board, so you know, I think about this stuff every day, but it's been so helpful to have these sort of like being taken out of my day-to-day thinking and, you know, having those really solid reminders of, like as Tasha said, the stories, the laws of the land are in the landscape. We just don't really know where to look for them. And we don't, as settlers, we don't really get those teachings. And so it's on us to learn what the laws of the land are. And, you know, it's just, you know, some really tangible reminders of pay people properly, involve people from the beginning. You know, the city has not been good at that, and we're still not very good at that. And, you know, Kamala reminded us how far the city has come, but there is still so much more to do to dismantle the system that has very intentionally erased Indigenous presence and very intentionally written a specific, you know, white Eurocentric story onto the land. So I'm always inspired by Indigenous people, always learning, and I'm just so grateful to have been here today to learn all that you shared. So thank you.
Hi, Cho. Hi, Cho. And your little ones listening. I love that. Next, we'd like a Joshua Starr. Please come forward and share a few words.
Hi, I didn't realize I'd be speaking to everybody, but here we are. I'm a facilitator around consent, and I think today's journey really highlights the relationship between how we relate to each other, how we relate to our environment, and the importance of consent in that process. And while we didn't use that language, I think that really emerged in the sharing of the speakers. So I'll just share a list of words that came up. Slowing down, noticing, time, patterns, protocols, relationships, process, reciprocity, systems, and structure. Thank you.
You know, and he's big on celebrating allyship. And I think there's going to be that sometimes. Sometimes people are going to celebrate your being a good ally. And other times it's like the most thankless thing ever, you know. And I have aunties who through their, you know, their series of traumas, by the time they get to me, it's hard to be a niece, but I love them and I stand up for them and I stand up with them. And I have to go home and I have to recover and I have to build myself up strong enough to stand next to those women because they're still rebuilding themselves following this, you know, being forcefully removed from their home or as a child. Like there's some real issues out there. And even in our communities, sometimes we struggle to make connections and that's real. You know, that's just me being honest with you. It's not always easy to make connections, but we don't get discouraged. We know what we have to offer. We know where our heart and our intention is, and we turn around and we try to make another connection, right? Or we talk to somebody who has a connection. And as much as there isn't a prescription for it, I think this toolkit's going to bring some really great tools to the forefront. And gentle reminder, if you haven't already put your address down, email address or mailing address, there is a sheet there where you can receive the toolkit in the future. So tangible documents are coming, you know, and some offers have been made in the space today, offers for assistance. And I think those are two great starts. You know, you coming here, the words that came out, things are moving. And that's what all we can do. And if we did that today, we did something. So, hi tep awith, my gratitude to you all, Yasu Kwasai Tetwalab.